I just did a tire rotation and my back isn't sore at all. I didn't even have to bend over. It was awesome. I got my lift put in. It was a lot of work, a lot of homework. So lift's not much good right there. I mean, it's fun to own and everything, but this is where things get really exciting. Where's our supermodel?
I'm right here.
There he is. This is the brains of this outfit.
Right.
I'm too tired to think, and he's helping me get this thing in. So we're gonna go ahead and test the concrete. On the drill bit, we've got a 3-inch tape and a 4-inch tape. I'm obsessed with knowing how thick the concrete is, so that's why we're doing that. All right.
Listo, amigo?
Listo.
Let's do it. Let's get our anchors in.
That's permanent.
She's in.
Awesome.
Cinch her down.
Come on, 150. If you have a longer torque wrench, it's nice, but there's 150. I bought mine secondhand from a guy on a classified ad. He got it based on just inheriting a property from his dad. His dad had picked it up from an equipment supplier. He had it installed professionally, and his professional installation is usually about $750. Shipping on this thing would have been $400. The original purchase price was probably about $1,500. So he's into it quite a bit, and then the markup besides then. When I bought it, I paid $1,700 for it. I went out there, spent 2.5–3 hours uninstalling it, hauled it home. It was a 2.5 hour drive each way. So I saved a bunch of time and money doing it that way. This originally came from Greg Smith Equipment. I tried to get some information from them. They're no longer associated with Direct Lift whatsoever. The guy I talked to on the phone said it's above his pay grade. He transferred me to technical support. The technical support guy, are you going to buy one of our lifts? I'm like, I already have it, but I'm making a video. Basically, he says, I don't have time for you. I don't know if you're even qualified to make this video. I said, well, I'll be sure to pass that information on to my viewers. So there you go. Once I said that, he was willing to give me at least a shipping quote and give me that $400 number of what it would have cost to ship to me. Can't get this there anymore. Why would you want to buy a direct lift? In my experience, the price point is a lot better than some of the competitors. They're not as heavy. This is a 9,000 pound lift. It doesn't have to weigh 9,000 pounds itself. It's okay. If you get a lift, you're going to love it. It's so much better than working on the floor. I've got a bunch of constraints, and we're going to go over those on the whiteboard right now. Now, in a perfect world, we all have, you know, like $300,000 to spend on a building, and everything's perfect. We've got at least 14-foot ceilings, 50 feet in length. We've got this huge building. Everything's perfect. We're going to put in all these overkill lifts that are going to be asymmetrical, and they're all going to be 20,000 pound capacity and yada, 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 and money's no object. Now, that is not the case for me. I'm not that wealthy, for one, and I don't have all of those constraints met. So what I do have is a temporary place, as I can't afford to build the building I want to build right now, so I'm going to have to wait and hold off on that to do it right. I want to do it right. But in the meantime, I have space where I can do a lift because there are a lot of different lift designs. Most any lift that you buy, you're going to love it. It's going to be a big asset to you. It's going to be more efficient, and there's going to be some good things. There's some important things to consider, though. The two of the biggest ones that you need to consider when you're buying a lift, and that I did, is curb weight and concrete thickness. You need to look at the specifications, and most of these manufacturers, you can download the manual, including the installation manual, online to help you to determine what lift you want to get. The next thing you want to do, I'm just going to go down the list. Curb weight, I needed to have something at least 7,000 pounds, and so I'm going to go 9,000 pounds just to be safe. The work height, wanted, or access. Now there's lifts that sit on the floor that'll lift it up just a little bit for doing brakes, tires, and stuff like that. So lifts are in three different things: low, mid-rise, and then your post lifts that get up and way off the ground, and then there's the higher ones. So for height constraints, that was one of the big things for me, is the height constraints. With mine, I had to have something that would fit within 133 inches. So this isn't going to get me, the higher post lifts are out of the question. Anything other than a floor plate's out of the question. So I had to find something that's 111 inches. So that narrowed down my choices considerably. You know, I could have done a low to mid-rise scissor lift jack or something like that, but I wanted to do the post lift because they give you so much more height to work with. Now right now with my garage door opener in the way, and I'm going to show you in a minute, I can only go about mid-rise anyway, but we're going to fix that in the near future, and I could probably use your help in the comments if you guys have some ideas for me, because I'm just trying to take in all the information I can, just like when I was doing this. Okay, length and width constraints. So with my width, the installation needs to be 138 inches wide, and then you need an extra 6 inches on one side to the edge of the concrete. I had to bump it over a little bit, so I needed to have 138 plus 6 puts me at 144. So I had to be 144 inches in width and be able to pull this thing off. As far as the length goes, most lifts you want to have 6 feet in front and 12 feet in back. All right, concrete thickness, this is a big one, and hardness. You need to have 3,000 PSI concrete. That's 3,000 pounds per square inch. And the thickness needs to be, you want at least 4 inches, 6 inches is ideal. In a perfect world, it's 6 inches. My concrete ranges between 3 3/4 inches and 5 inches. Most of where my anchors are about 5 inches of concrete. The other question I had is permanence. How permanent is this lift going to be? You know, am I willing to drill into the floor? If you're not, then you want to do a scissor lift. So you got scissor lifts that are portable. You got a little ring. The disadvantage to using these is that all of this floor space is taken up. Now what I did, because I have low clearance, I did a floor plate lift, and that way you can have the shorter columns. So this has more of a disadvantage than the floor plate lift, but the advantage is the permanence. And you can find a lot of different ones of these. Eric the car guy, he did a video on one that's called the Ranger lift that actually is kind of the best of both worlds. Say you got your little pickup or whatever, they're not very high capacity. I actually really considered doing one of these, but they've got a lift like this and then a little hydraulic ram, and then you got your little safety catches, but they're only on the sides of the vehicle. So say here's your tailgate and your tail lights, and your tires, all that kind of stuff. So where these lifts reside is like this underneath the vehicle. So all of this is free and clear underneath for your creeper or your transmission jack or whatever the case may be. I was okay with it bolting to the floor. That's totally cool with me. And then my budget for this project, because I'm looking to do more lifts later on in another location, my budget for this is about $2,000. So I looked on the classifieds and I found my direct lift for $3,000. The son had no idea how much they are, and so he thought, well, you know, somebody said $3,000, threw that number out. So I got on the phone with him. I'm like, look, they're $2,000 brand new on the computer. You can look it up yourself. A lot of them, sometimes you can find them for $1,500, $1,500 US. So I talked to him. We struck up a deal for $1,700. That's what I ended up paying for mine. So let me show you my lift. Here it is in action, picking up the Subaru. All right, here's the first car on the left. Let's see how she does. Watch out for that garage door opening, right? That's awesome. How's that? I'm pretty excited. Going down, Mr. Tyler. This thing's pretty fast. It's pretty quiet for the most part too. I don't see it being real loud. Got really great arm locks. Locks down really good. It's got decent pads. Alright, you want to see it go up again? Let's do it again. So I'm not fast forwarding this or anything. This is how fast it goes. It is 250 volt plug, 30 amp. It's latches. The safety latches catch it, so when you go off as high as you want to go, and you just lower it down onto the safety latches, and now it's mechanically rested instead of being on the hydraulics. That's safety. I'm just tickled to have a lift. This is awesome. It's a 9,000 pound symmetrical, which means that these arms are the same length on each side, and they're not angled to make it easier to get your doors in. The reason why I chose a symmetrical lift, I got a symmetrical lift, which means that they are symmetrical, symmetry. You draw a line down the middle, it's the same on both sides. You can get an asymmetrical lift, and these rotate 30 degrees to accommodate car doors when you pull in. But when you use a symmetrical lift, you can't load them frontwards and backwards. And I have to be able to do that here because my driveway is uphill. And when I back the trailer in and I tilt deck it to dump them out, and dump them out backwards. With a tilt deck trailer, you have to go motor first so that it tilts, so that you have the right balance. So this is perfect. This is what I need. So the first line that you do is find out where you're going to be. Mine's symmetrical. Sometimes they're forward, sometimes they're backward. I've got a 26-foot length, so I just split it pretty much. So we do a chalk line, and we get it nice and square, nice and straight. And so our chalk line on the floor goes in, and then the next thing is that you sort out where you want it to be. I wanted mine to be as close to the edge as I possibly could with being safe, because the garage door is here. When I did the garage door, it's a little bit offset, but it's worth it. You don't want something breaking out of the concrete or having a problem. So that's how you lay it out where you're going to put it. Now say for example, I didn't have that, I'd line it up with the door. That's the way I'd do it. Now this is a set distance. This is 138 inches. So once you stand up your columns, you measure, they'll give you an inside and an outside one. So this is supposed to be 111 inches. And this just happens to be where it's going to be. It's a good number to know so that you know that it's going to work or not, but this is the number that's going to really set them. So we set up our columns, we put them on there. You could put hydraulic fluid on the floor, or it could leak out of your cylinders. Ours leaked out of our cylinders. It made it so that we could just tap knock them, you know, either direction, no big deal. These things are heavy. So what I did is I used some car dollies. You know, with two guys, you can lift one end of it pretty easily, lumberjack style, and then slip the cart under and get it into place. Then we just pull the cart out and then just stand it up. Things didn't materialize until the lift was here. I got to the point where I was just sick and tired of overanalyzing everything. I had an analysis paralysis where I just had too many questions. I couldn't even move. So I just pulled the trigger and bought the lift. I knew pretty well what I was getting into, but I didn't even know which side of the garage I was going to put it on. It turns out because of this length requirement, that made my decision for me. So then I just proceed from there. You got what you got, right? I know that this video is not going to reach a whole lot of people, but for the people who want to know this stuff, it's really nice to know. So this lift unfortunately doesn't have a single point cable release. It would have cost an extra $100, $200, but then I'd have to pay the shipping and everything too, because this was purchased on an opportunity. All this stuff's in the instructions, but there's some things on mine that were not on the instructions very clear. You've got cable adjustments. You can see those cables that are moving. You know, it looks like one cable's going up, one's going down. This is a chain drive where you got a hydraulic cylinder that pushes the chain. The front part of the chain's attached here. The back part of the chain's attached to the floor plate of the lift down there. To bleed these is basically you get the cylinders to go all the way down. I didn't bleed it properly, and because I didn't bleed it properly, it got stuck in the full up position, and then I had to use a transmission jack on a floor jack, raise it up to get the things to release. When you pull on this chain, it pulls this down all the way. So the thing to do is to let it down all the way, pull on the chain, get the cylinders, especially this one. This one wasn't all the way up. So you get those all flattened out. And then you just hold the release down and just let it sit for a good long time. Another thing that you can do if you go to lift it up or something, if there's trash stuck in here, you can hold down the release and hold down the lift button. If you hold them both at the same time, the world does not turn inside out. It just basically cycles fluid across the switch. So like I say, if it got stuck at the full upright position, you didn't bleed it properly. Another thing with this lift is that when you install it with the cables, you want to listen to see which one clicks first. So this one clicked first, and then the other one did. And then going up, they click at the same time. You'll see that here. So you hear a single click. If you had 2 ears, then you'd have the depth perception to know which one it is. But when this one clicks first, it says tighten the cable on the one that clicks first. So this cable, the more I tighten that cable, the more it lifts the opposite side. So if this is clicking first, I tighten this cable on this side, and this cable actually manages the one on the other side. It goes down under the plate, through the floor, up past the pulley, goes up over the top, lifts based on that pulley, and picks this one up. So if the other one's clicking first, it's going up first, so it brings this one up to catch up with it. So you tighten on the column that clicks first until they're in unison. I love my lift. You know, I really need something to get the garage door opener situated. I know that Tom's Turbo Garage, his goes up at the angle like this. He has another lift video and a pretty cool blog. But basically, this is in the way. I know there's units that mount to the actual bar here, and then you can angle these up. I might have to do that. Another option I thought about is to add another piece here and add another panel, add a panel to get that up higher, and then mount this to the ceiling here. Ideally, I'd just like to get this up out of the way somehow, but I'm not sure the best way. It looks like my studs go across this way on my trusses, so there's some limitation there. Looking at the lift, you can see I'm just like 6 inches off from where I want to be with the door here, and the same thing here. So you just got to angle a little bit. See, ideally I'd want to be just a little bit more this way, but like I said, I had to leave room because of the edge of the concrete is right here, so I had to do that for strength. The floor plate's bolted in. This actually bows up on both sides, so before you bolt it down, it teeter-totters. Once you bolt it down, it really holds it flat so that when you drive something on it or stomp on it, it doesn't hit the floor because it's in contact with the floor all the way across. So what's under there anyway? What's the deal? So you've got this hydraulic hose here that runs under the middle, and then you just have your 2 cables. So if you didn't have a plate, you'd be running over cables and hose and it'd be a mess. As it is, this is higher than it needs to be. I kind of wish the plate was a little lower, but they've got angle iron that's laid in a V that goes underneath each side to hold everything up. Okay, so you get off the latches and you pull one of these little cable things on each side. It's a little bit of a pain. Go around and pull the other one. I've never worked with a lift that had those before. I always had like some cable action that you just do from here. But once you pull those, you hit down and it goes down. And these are locked solid. You can see there's little teeth in there that interface with each other, so that if you're, especially pickup trucks, the frame goes up right before where you put the little support. So it's really nice to have those so it doesn't slide away or do something dumb. When it gets all the way down, it pushes the pins by a plate. You can hear them go click right there. So now, when you go to move these, it's just easy. You just shove them under, shove them out. It's no big deal. You still have to bend over to make sure that you're underneath the lift support part of the vehicle. So once you go up a little bit, see like that, now there's nothing you can do to get those to move. Oh wait, yes there is. You can actually pull up on the pin and get it to move. So I got this lift from a classified ad, basically the equivalent of Craigslist. And I had to go and uninstall it. To get these out of the ground is a little bit of a pain. And the reason why, with wedge bolts, how do you get the thing off? You can't pry it up with a pry bar really. So what we did is we push it one way. We got all the arms, got everything off, got the pump pulled off, so we just had our columns. And so we tipped it one way and we shoved a bunch of blocks underneath, little 2x4 blocks. And then we tip it the other way and we would get on the blocks, and then it would raise everything up and off of the bolts so that we were in good shape. It's actually a really slick way to do it. So with these dollies, a couple days before I got the lift, I poured a bunch of leveling compound in my joints. And what that does is it makes it so that, I call them caster canyons rather than joints. But you can see if I were to do this before, I mean, yeah, it's break your neck dangerous now, but before, it was even worse. There's no way you could go across that. So with the lift on these, it was really slick. You just move them anywhere you want without a problem. I just want to say thank you to everybody for watching my videos, and of course I'm going to keep doing the videos. But I know a lot of people say thank you for the stuff that I do. They're like, thank you, I couldn't have done it without you and stuff. And maybe they're not the subscribers and people that tune in all the time. But especially for my subscribers, I just want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your support and for making it possible for me to be able to live in the middle of nowhere and work from home and, you know, be there for my family. You know, I don't have to travel around a whole lot. I do now and then, but I just really appreciate that.